Wala pa yan? Hi, good afternoon. Good morning.
Hi, Izu. Morning, everyone. I don't receive the panelist link. Is normal?
They can maybe Nika, you can make Gregory a panelist now.
Yes, he is a panelist.
Thank you for being facilitator. I just learned that George and Monai, they're busy. They have other engagement now. Hi, Elena.
Good afternoon, everyone. The webinar will start in a minute. Thank you. Dear participants, Target 2 Roadmap partners and colleagues, good afternoon and welcome to the Target 2 webinar series on ecosystem restoration. Before we start, allow us to remind everyone of few house rules. Kindly rename Zoom display names following this format, country and or your organization, space your name. The example is provided. PowerPoint. Kindly refer to the chat box found at the bottom of your screen for announcements and information from the organizers. Questions will be addressed at the end of all presentations. Questions may be sent through the Q&A box or by using the raise hand feature and wait to be recognized. The panelists will then allow you to unmute and speak. Due to webinar settings, unfortunately, attendees will not be able to open their cameras, but attendees are encouraged to engage using the raise hand feature and the Q&A box. The chat box may also be used to interact. This meeting is recorded for documentation purposes. Thank you for your coverage. To formally welcome us to this webinar, let us hear from Mr. 𝘍𝘳𝘰𝘳𝘍𝘬𝘆, the Director of the Mainstreaming Biodiversity Division of the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity. Mr. Ollie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nika. On behalf of our Executive Director, Dr. Jerome Montemayor, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Session 3 of the Target 2 webinar series. The ACB, together with the FAO, recognizes the efforts of the national focal points and partners in strengthening the timely reporting of parties under the CBD. As a Technical Scientific Support Center, or TSCC, the ACB is committed to assisting our constituent countries in Asia in delivering Target 2 commitments. Through this webinar, we aim to increase the knowledge of the parties and partners on ecosystem restoration, monitoring, and reporting. This webinar series on ecosystem restoration is part of the ACB Target 2 Help Desk initiative that provides essential technical backstopping and on the framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring related assistance to constituent parties. We have successfully conducted 2 sessions since January this year in partnership with other TSCCs and partners. And today, we will discuss the FERM data review and its linkage to the Convention on Biological Diversity, or CBD Online Reporting Tool. We hope that this webinar will guide the countries on Target 2 monitoring and reporting. We appreciate your time attending the webinar series, and I would like to encourage you to actively participate and share your expertise on the topics to be discussed this afternoon. Again, thank you very much, and back to you, Nika.
Thank you, Mr. Ollie, for sharing and expressing ACB's commitment to guide the AMS towards effective ecosystem restoration. To further set the context for today's session, we invite Ms. Yelena Feingold of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, to provide a message and brief introduction about the session for today. Over to you, Ms. Yelena.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nika, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. Thank you so much for making the time to join us in this, what I can imagine is a very busy period for all of us as we approach the deadline for the 7th National Reports, which is quickly approaching at the end of this month in just a few days. So we have organized this session to help accelerate that process, to support country focal points, and to let you know what data on ecosystem restoration has already been compiled through the framework on ecosystem restoration and how this links to CBD's online reporting tool. And today with ACB, my colleagues from FAO, Jewel and Gregory, will explain the linkages between the FERM and the ORT. They remain available for questions and support with the ACB Help Desk. And I think we can just dive into the technical part of this session. I'd also like to mention this this work from FAO's side is supported by the Aim for Nature project funded by the UK. And on that note, I think I can pass it back to Ms. Nika. Thank you. Oh, so I think it's
Thank you.
muted. Here.
For providing the overview, and of course, we appreciate your presence and support in this process. Let us now turn our attention to Mr. Gregory from FAO to speak about the Framework for Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring, or FERM, data review. Over to you, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you, colleague. Hi, everyone. So my name is 𝘍𝘳𝘢𝘵𝘰𝘳𝘢 from FAO. So I will introduce the FERM data review component, in particular the section dedicated to the DFO data and data review. Then I will let my colleague Zuo develop about the data aggregation part. I will start by sharing my screen, please. Important to note that the FERM data review section, it is only for the country focal point. It is more important. This section gives the country the opportunity to review, correct, and validate the restoration data compiled at the national level before sending it to the CBD for the target 2 reporting. Very important. And you will not have access if you are not a CBD focal point or appointed by the focal point. It is very important to note. So the first step in the FERM data review process is to select the country. You will click here, we have the list of the country. Only your country, only the country focal point will appear, not all the countries. For the test, I will select, for example, the Peru country. And after selecting the country boundaries normally will appear at the top of the interface. Yes, perfect. And with a table at the bottom showing the existing data that we have compiled at the country level. In this case, we have, for example, data from FERM and data from FRA, the Forest Resource Assessment. This table provides information on the source of the restoration data, of the sources, on the initiative title, on the area under restoration, about the year of assessment, information about the geometry with a green cycle showing that is a variable, and the gray point means that this information about the geometry is not a variable. And we will also have information about the multi-country initiative or not, and most important, if it is official data or not. If you click, for example, view detail, you will normally have access to all the data information linked to this initiative. If you click the next section about add national data, the option allow you to submit the restoration initiative data directly using the interface. So that means that if you have a database of or a list of national restoration project, you can add it into the national data directly, which will be considered as official as well. So this button is for report, for example, initiatives to the FERM platform, but we also have developed an IPA to avoid the burden of the reporting of the multiple initiative reporting. And I think 2 weeks ago we had a meeting dedicated to presenting, for example, the FERM IPA, and if necessary, the recording link is available. Now I will present the review section, which focus on disaggregated registration data at the country level. More important. It is also important to keep in mind that the review table align with the default data table that I presented previously. And the difference in this table is that you will be able to modify the number add a disaggregation row. Specify, for example, the type of disaggregation. In this example, I will select, for example, the Kenya country, which have more information. And as I said, you will have information about the source of the data, similar to the previous table of default data set, the initiative name, and more important, the type of disaggregation. For example, if the value are disaggregated at the different biome level, at the protected areas level, or at the indigenous and traditional territory disaggregation. It is important to note that in this section, the disaggregation regarding the ecosystem type is linked to the global ecosystem typology of IUCN, the GET typology. So the idea for the country focal point here is to review and, if necessary, most important, to correct the restoration value disaggregated at the different levels, such as the one I present, ecosystem type, IT, and protected areas. Usually, it is important to note that the sum of the value of each disaggregation area will equal to the total area under restoration. For example, in this case, for example, I have some issues with my perfect. Sorry. So, for example, if you look this example, you have the area for the different disaggregation type, and normally the sum of the area will be equal to the total sum of the area for all the initiatives or all these initiatives. And also, it is important to note that after reviewing and correcting all the data, you can click Save. You can click Save, the Save button at the top, to save the data you have correct. You can click Reset to reset all the value, and you can click Save Copy to download all the value in Excel form. And also, it is important to note that in this part, you can, the code focal point can modify only data they are not official. Very important, because I presented that in the previous table we have official and non-official data, and in this section the idea is just to review all the data but only correct data they are not official. Very important. And after all correction, the idea is to click Update Aggregated Data. So That means that after click update data, the idea is to indicate that the review is complete and the CBD will be able to obtain the value based on the IPA we have developed. Most important to not just click save or export, but after reviewing and correct all information, all value, the most important is to click update aggregated data to send the data to the CBD. So if you don't click the button update aggregated data, your data will not be registered and not sent to the 3D platform. Most important. So now, after presented the default data, the add national data, and the review data, I will let my colleague Zuo to develop about the next section. And very thanks for your attention. I don't know if you come to the question or we wait for the Zuo presentation. Thank you. I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. At this point, please be reminded that questions will be addressed at the end of all the presentations. Also, the questions may be sent via the Q&A box or by using the raise hand feature, and please wait to be recognized. Now, we have Ms. Joa Cheng from the FAO to discuss with us the FERM linkage of the Convention on Biological Diversity Online Reporting Tool, or the CBD report. Ms. Joa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nika. Thank you, Gregory. But we discussed, there is a small change to the presentation. So I will first finish the presentation of the data review because there is one more part that is aggregated data. So from now, I will share my screen. Thank you. Okay. So I wanted to mention highlight that to remind that the default data is built through interoperability framework. So FAO has reviewed different data sources and to collect relevant restoration data. And then we use the FERM interoperability framework to put all the data together. So we see that's why we see the default data has different source. They may come from different sources. They may be a single initiative, or it may be from some officially reported reporting processes, and it may also be country level. So we see that the FRA is not a single initiative, but it represents the whole country. Gregory was showing the review data tab where the focal point can add his or her input to the data. He or she can add national data and then add a disaggregation, delete an entry. Just to imagine this is a Excel table that you work on. So we put it online to facilitate to have a stronger linkage to the FERM and to ORT, the CBD tool. And the data aggregation is a step to transform the default data from different sources of different that are heterogeneous, that are different, of different format, to country level data for reporting. So we will have, for example, Peru, X hectare under restoration in 2025, for example. That's what you will see in aggregated data tab and all the disaggregations available. So in the first webinar, we explained the reporting template. If you recall, it looks like this. We have the columns: indicator, code indicator. Does this data row represent the disaggregation, the disaggregation type, the year, the unit, the value, and footnote? So this table, aggregated data, it's very similar to the reporting template because we built this table based on the template. Therefore, when this data can have the same format and can be sent to the CBD using API, or is this even possible to download the copy and later upload directly in the CBD Online Reporting Tool? Here you see total area. This means it does not represent the disaggregation. So it corresponds to, like, does this data row represent disaggregation? And if you select, if you enter no. Okay, I will now explain some. So we have now we go back to one step back to the review data, and I will explain what happens when you click update aggregated data, when the data is aggregated. So it's very important that the country focal point add national data to the default data, because maybe we're limited and we won't have a lot of data at this moment. So data from national databases is important. And when you review, it is important to consider that some initiatives may overlap and may be double counted. In the point of review is to take a moment to think, based on the information, and to minimize double counting. Therefore, in the first consideration is, in the absence of national focal point, the review from focal point, the FERM will only aggregate official data. So let's see this example of Peru. There are two entries in the default data, and therefore you review this single initiative in the FERM, and FRA from this is a hectare of forest under restoration from the 2025 Global Forest Resources Assessment. And the FERM data has never been reported officially in existing processes, but the FRA data is. Therefore, without focal points review, without clicking the update button, the aggregated data will only have the number from FRA because it is official. As you can see that the number 177 from this FERM initiative is not being aggregated in the absence of review. However, if the focal point or the reviewer modifies some content, or not modifying it because he or she agrees with this, so as long as this button is clicked, you will see this pop up: confirm aggregated data update. If you because when you update the next table will be updated, and the number will be viewable by the CBD ORT. And I click update, and you will see that the number is different. Here we have created, we have aggregated the two sources. So this actually is a time series starting from 2017 when we have the FERM initiative. So this is a recall that it is not official, but after the review, these non-official data can enter the aggregated data table. That's because it has been reviewed and accepted by the focal point. And this is the corresponding disaggregation. And then in 2025, FRA data, it becomes available. So we have another data point. Okay, and there is another consideration here, because as you can see, this data is in general not spatially explicit. Aggregating tabular data can be risky of double counting. For example, this initiative, it may be, the biome is tropical, subtropical forests. So therefore, it is possible that this initiative has already been included in the FRA process, data reporting process. Therefore, the second assumption is we want to be conservative with tabular data, and we will assume that the FRA data already covers all the forests that are under restoration initiatives. So that's why if you see here this number, it's the FRA number because we assume that this number already contains the 177 in 2025 when this data is when FRA is published. But for the disaggregation, because FRA data doesn't specify what ecosystem it is, we only know it's forest. And here in this table, we only have the global ecosystem typology, and we kept the T1 tropical subtropical forests biome here. If the reviewer is able to gather more information, it is possible to add biome and specify what kind of forest it is. For example, if we have 14,000 hectares of tropical, subtropical forest, and 934 temperate forest. Well, in some countries this may happen, and you save and update, then the aggregated data table will be updated again with additional information on the disaggregation. So these are the two important considerations we have when we aggregate data. And due to the time constraint, we will not. Sorry, I want to demonstrate another thing. If, however, this first initiative, it is not forest, it's a different ecosystem. Let's say it's lake biome of 177. Then we know that it will not overlap with forest under restoration. Therefore, when you update, remember this number from FRA, it's 14,934. Now we can see that the total area we have add the initiative, the FERM initiative to the FRA because we assume that because they are there are forest and lake biome and they should not overlap. Therefore, this number, we're not using the assumption that FRA already includes all the forest. So we are drafting some document to show how the aggregation works, and we will publish this in our website. and we will also provide examples to help you understand how the aggregation works. And you're encouraged to try to practice to use the data review and reach out to us if you have questions. That said, we finish the FERM data review, and I will go to the second part, which is the online reporting tool. So this is the CBD Online Reporting Tool. Some of you may be already using it. I'm not the focal point, so I have access to the training set to practice, to play with it. And if you recall, when you click this button, it asks you confirm aggregated data update. And if you click yes, then the data from this table will be updated, and the data will be accessible by an API we built. And how to access that? We first go to 7th National Report and go to the indicator data. It's loading. Oops. Okay, so here you have all the headline indicators, binary indicators, the list of the indicators. And for target 2, the headline indicator, you just need to scroll down to the indicator and click add data. And this is how you report, where you start putting the data. There are 4 options. The last one is not relevant. It's because when you identify national targets, no target is linked to the global target 2. So we will not consider this case. And I already explained the first option, use national dataset, in the first webinar. So basically you download the template and you enter, you fill the template and you upload. And to use the API, it's the second option. The difference is it will use the available data, pre-populated data. It is called available data rather than national data. And if you click here, it says no global data found for this indicator on the UNEP WCMC target tracker. This is because the CBD is working on updating this tool so that the API that pulls data from the FERM will be working. So once this is implemented, maybe in the coming weeks, you will be able to see data. When you click this option, you will see the default the data that will appear. But for today's demonstration, I will use a different target. Indicator 3.1. It is very similar. So you click the use available data, and you will see a table. Again, this is the reporting template. It's what we have been explaining, but here the indicator code and the name is different, and the year, the value, the unit. So for the indicator 2.1, it will be the same. Just we will need to wait until that API is updated. Okay, and recall that the data, the aggregated data will differ depending on whether it is reviewed. So if the focal point has already reviewed the data, then from here you will see the numbers identical to what you have reviewed if you have clicked the updated data button. But if you have reviewed the data, then instead of calling it global data, it should be national data to differentiate national data to indicate it's actually national data. The API will also record the timestamp of when this update aggregated data button is clicked, so that CBD knows that this data has been reviewed already by the national focal point, and CBD will consider the reviewed data as actually national data. But if it's not reviewed ever, that means it probably is the first time you see the data, the global data. There is still an opportunity to review in the ORT. And to do this, because you may think, okay, I don't agree with this global data. I want to edit. I want to modify. Then the way to do this is you click review. Then it will generate this download link button. You click it and you will download the table in Excel format, and you can open it, edit the numbers, which is based on your national data, and based on, like, if you have additional data, if you think some numbers are wrong, some numbers are overlapping, or if you want to add disaggregation, then after you finish your work in the Excel, you will need to close this and reopen it and upload it by clicking Use National Dataset. In that case, you can upload the offline, the Excel that you worked on, and it will be registered as national data. Sometimes the API will not be able to obtain data because the FERM data review, we try to cover as many countries as possible, but depending on the country, sometimes there is no data. No data is available. In that case, the API will return nothing. In that case, you can select no data is available. Or if you think the default data, it looks okay, it makes sense, you can accept it as global data by just continue and yeah. This is the CBD Online Reporting Tool. And to summarize, I made a slide. Okay, I will. Sorry. Oops. Yeah, so these are this figure shows the FERM and ORT connection and reporting options. So starting, because the reporting is always done in the ORT, because you will need to start the 7th national report in the ORT, and you will enter indicator data for all the indicators, and then all the global indicators and the national indicators. So you will go to ORT and start asking yourself, have you reviewed the data in the FERM? And if the answer is yes, Then choose national. There are two options. You can choose use national data and upload what you have reviewed in FERM. And because after that you can download it and then upload it here. You can also use click the use available data. Then the API will access the data you have reviewed and saved in the FERM data review with the timestamp so that the CBD knows that it is a national data. If you have not reviewed data in the FERM, then you can ask yourself, do you have national data for reporting? It means have you actually compiled the data, prepare the data? And if the answer is yes, then you can click use national data, download the template, and enter your data in the template and upload it. You can also, if you have not prepared national data, you haven't started, then you can select use available data, and the API will work to get the data in the FERM. It is possible that the API returns no data. In that case, you can select no data is available. Then once the default data is pulled from the FERM in the ORT, you can decide if you want to review it. If you think that looks fine, you can accept it as available data. Or if you would like to review it, you can click the review button and download a copy, modify, and then upload it. Or you can go to FERM to do the review. So these are some of the options. I hope this is clear. This is my presentation. So I hope we have learned the FERM, the data aggregation in the review. I hope we have recalled like the 4 different options in the ORT, and I have explained ways of reviewing it. That's the end of my presentation demo. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Gregory and Ms. Jo. So the presentations have shown that the FERM ensures that the data is reviewed and reported, making the national reporting easier for the CBD party. Surely our participants have insights and questions to share and ask. Now we are ready to entertain questions. So again, your questions may be sent via the Q&A box or by using the raise hand feature, and please wait to be recognized. So do we have any questions here? So we have received a question in the Q&A box. So the question is, how do organizations input data, and how is this data being verified to update the current database? So I think the question can be answered by Ms. Jo.
Could you please repeat the question? Sorry, I was trying clicking Zoom. Sorry, I was.
So the question is, how do organizations input data, and how is this data verified to update the current database?
And how do organizations enter data? You mean in the FERM, or first of all, I don't think organizations can put data in the CBD tool. That's that's for the CBD focal point. In a FERM, we have explained while we have previous trainings and a lot of materials. So there are two ways. One is to use the FERM registry interface. So you create an account, you create in your institution, and you follow the user interface. One tab after another, you register your initiative, and when you submit, it will be reviewed by the admin of your institution before it is published. That's one way how organizations can enter data in the FERM. Another is to use an API, so that is related to the previous webinar. So that's for countries with technical capacity to prepare the initiatives into a specific GeoJSON format, and then it can be automatized. So instead of using the interface. And how this, so after the data entered into FERM, the focal point, the CBD focal point of that country will have access to this functionality called data review, so that he can see, I have these initiatives for my country, and I will check before this data is aggregated. I can validate something, add disaggregation, or if I think some initiative is irrelevant, I can delete it. Then the review, this will not change the initiatives that entered in the registry by the organizations. This is only for CBD reporting. So when an organization upload some initiatives in the FERM, the data is there, but when the focal point reviews, it's equivalent to creating a copy and do mathematics. Like you add, you subtract, you change some numbers. That's for reporting. So it's two different processes. When the focal point update in the data review, the numbers that the focal point entered will not change the registry data. So if for example, my organization, for example, if I represent civil society, I upload the initiative, and later on the focal point thinks my number is wrong, or it has overlap with some other initiative, and he corrects it in the data review. My initiative in the FERM registry will not be changed. Is that clear?
So I hope the question was answered. And we have two who raised their hands. So first, Miss Jenny Chu, please. Do you have a question? So we have Miss Anne.
Of FERM.
And
I see that you have one interesting part is that just now you already answered, is that the organization or initiatives could actually register in the interfaces, user interfaces, to update any ecological or ecosystem restorations initiatives in this platform. So I'm just wondering how ACB roles in this area. Yeah, thank you.
This is a question for ACB, I think.
I'm sorry, Miss Jenny, can you repeat your question? We had some technical difficulty here.
Oh, sorry. So my question is that is it does this only apply to organization, or probably in any, if there is individual doing this initiative, can they also contribute to this data? And is there like a minimum area that they should do restoration for an individual in order to contribute the data? Sorry, are you able to hear?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Miss Anna.
This is a different question. Sorry. This question I can answer, but not Jenny Tru's question. I think that previous one was for ACB. The question is, can individual be data providers? Can individuals represent no institution? There are several other platforms where individuals can register small restoration projects, initiatives. And for the firm, we would like to, because we have this review process, so we would like to ensure that the data is trustworthy. So we require an institution. We ask the affiliation. So we are not accepting individuals restoration initiatives because it's very difficult to verify the information. And for the area, there is no minimum, but it will be rounded. So if you have 0.1 hectare, I think it will be considered as 0.
So thank you, Ms. Jo. Going back to Ms. Jenny Chu, can you repeat your question for ACB?
My question is that how ACB plays your role in supporting the firm or registering a firm, because under ACB you have many programs that could actually contribute to the data that firm is collecting. So I'm just wondering, would you also register as interface users and then put all the data or the initiatives you have in ACB into that in this platform, and then it could be actually verified by the national component, national focal point? This is one question. And then the other question is actually to maybe 𝘍𝘳𝘢. I was wondering that you mentioned about the global data. This data globally collected has been already verified, correct?
Only official data is verified because it has been reported in other reporting processes. So the firm, without focal point review, we don't call it official data. But the forest resources assessment data, for example, this one, it is official data and it has been verified. But
So
the
because there are many so-called recognized platforms having all this ecosystem registration. I was wondering if there is any harmonization or, from the data you collect as so-called global. Is that only from the UN systems, or it's also from other initiatives like reports from some from other donors, like the German government donors, BMZ, they have their own reports, maybe the Norway, they are quite a number. So I was wondering how, when you say global data, is this data just referring to the data that recorded under the UN system, or this also includes the other platforms. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you want to
thank you.
answer the first one?
Yeah. Yes. So thank you, Ms. Janie. As of now, for the role of ACB, we are here to assist the AMS, including the non-state actors, in their firm data input into the platform. So I think that would be our answer for the question.
I
So
wanted
we
to
all
add that. Oh, sorry. I can add.
Sorry. Coming back to Nika's answer, could you be more concrete? What kind of assistance that you provide here for the registration of a firm? Would you also initiate whether you could be part of the registering as user interfaces because you have a big data there? Then can be verified by the national focal point, this type of consideration. Or when you said assist, so it's a very ambiguous reply. What type of assistance here? Or normally for ASEAN, what type of assistance they need for this? Is that from the review part or from the data entry? This is something you might need to ponder on. Thank you.
Yes. So one example of the assistance is the conduct of this webinar series for ecosystem restoration. So we have invited several or the AMS, the focal points in this series, to provide them the knowledge and assistance, of course, in the reporting of their to the seventh national report. So yeah. Ms. Jo, do you have something to add?
I wanted to add that ACB does have is also a data provider. It has the ASEAN Green Initiative and the ASEAN Heritage Park data. So some of these are restoration, and they can contribute to the firm. But this is a working progress, and we have this partnership with ACB. It is one of the activities to also collect data. And for the other question, global data, I showed a slide in my presentation that shows the default data with all the different data sources. There are indeed many initiatives, processes, countries that are collecting directly restoration data or indirectly, for example, sustainable agriculture and climate mitigation, adaptation, and some still have a restoration component. And the work we are doing is to review, to examine data sources, starting from partners that we're familiar with, and then we are using an interoperability framework to put data from these different heterogeneous format, put them together, and we put it in the default data tab. You saw that in Gregory's demo, there are data from the FERM, from global forest resource assessment. In our database, we have more data that is not in the default data yet. It's a work in progress. So the idea is to harmonize these data, but then still it's very important for the focal point to think how to avoid double counting, because some restoration initiatives, they may have been reported in multiple places. Then when we compile data, we don't want to count it multiple times. That's why on the one hand, we are trying to promote the use of FERM because it has a geospatial component in it. So if we collect data, restoration data that come with polygons, points, or explicit geometry, then we can know where there is the double counting, there is overlapping of the restoration sites. On the other hand, we are doing capacity development. We're producing guidance to help countries to review in the review tab. And when without review, without this input, we want to be conservative, and we are not aggregating all the sources together, because that most likely will overestimate. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you, Joe. So it's 5:01, but we still have one question here. The question is, who will decide or approve or appoint focal point for each country to review the data of restoration initiatives from various institutions or organizations? So let me repeat. Who will decide or approve or appoint focal point for each country to review the data of restoration initiatives from various institutions or organizations?
I think normally is the country task normally, because some country have a dedicated CBD focal point, and this list of focal point is available in the CBD website. So I think that to design the focal point that will be responsible to review the FERM information is the specific task of the countries normally.
Gregory? So do we still have questions? So I think there are no other questions here at the chat box. So again, please be informed that we will share the presentations in your respective emails after the webinar, and we will not issue e-certificates for this webinar series. So to formally close today's sessions, may I invite Mr. 𝘍𝘳𝘵𝘮, the Director of the Biodiversity Informatics and Geospatial Analysis Division of ACB. Over to you, Mr. 𝘍𝘳𝘵.
Okay, thank you so much, Nika. Before that, before anything else, I would just like to add more information about what Jenny Chu asked regarding the technical support provided by ACB. So the short answer there is yes. The ASEAN Center for Biodiversity does engage with and provide technical support related to FERM. So FERM data, but this support is usually in the context of regional cooperation, capacity building, and knowledge management, not as the primary developer of or hosting of the FERM platform itself. So the question there is how ACB is involved with FERM. So ACB as the sub-regional technical, what's this, TSCC? Sub-regional Technical and Scientific Cooperation Support Center. ACB has been selected as one of the regional or sub-regional scientific as a body to help ASEAN countries, especially in Southeast Asia, with planning, monitoring, and reporting on ecosystems restoration. So including including aligning data with FERM. So one of the requirements under the 𝘍𝘰𝘴𝘵𝘰𝘴𝘵𝘰𝘳𝘢 target 2. So yeah, that's it. That's the short answer from ACB. So okay, so going back to my closing remarks again. So we don't have any option but to close this session. So it is my pleasure to always close this session again. So to conclude, today's session 3 has reinforced the critical importance of ensuring that ecosystem restoration data are not only collected but also effectively managed, digitized, reviewed, validated, and reported in a coherent and transparent manner. So, as a countries preparing for the reporting under the 𝘍𝘰𝘴𝘵𝘰𝘴𝘵 or the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, Target 2 in the 7th National Report to the CBD, understanding how to navigate and utilize the FERM or the framework for what's that? The framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring. So that's FERM, and its linkage to the CBD Online Reporting Tool or the ORT is both timely and essential. So from session 1 to session 2, we have seen how the enhanced FERM data review functionality supports countries in verifying default aggregated data, improving data accuracy, and strengthening national ownership of restoration reporting. So equally important is that a clear pathway is now available for accessing and reflecting this information within the CBD Online Reporting Tool. ACB is also part of the CBD Online Reporting Tool, and we are also working on that as a technical support team. So we also want to streamline reporting process and reduce duplication of effort. So on behalf of the organizers, we extend our sincere appreciation to FAO for co-organizing this important session 3. And to all participants, thank you for your time, for your active engagement and commitment. Strengthening data systems and reporting mechanisms is a collective effort, and your continued collaboration will be key to demonstrating measurable progress in ecosystems restoration across our region and globally. So let us still continue working together to ensure that restoration efforts are accurately captured, transparently reported, and meaningfully contribute to achieving 𝘍𝘰𝘴𝘵𝘰𝘴𝘵 target 2 and the broader goals of the Convention on Biological Diversity. So once again, thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and we look forward to our continued collaboration. Thank you so much. Back to you, Nika.
Thank you, Mr. Kit. Once again, thank you everyone for your active participation. So today's session has again been very productive. For inquiries about ecosystem restoration and Target 2, including its monitoring and reporting, we encourage everyone to reach out to us via the ACB Target 2 Help Desk at acbt2helpdesk@aseanbiodiversity.org. Again, that is acbt2helpdesk@aseanbiodiversity.org. And we value your feedback, so we invite everyone to share your thoughts and evaluation of today's session through the form shared on your screen. So please scan the QR code or click the link provided in the chat box to share your feedback about today's webinar. This will help us improve the delivery of future sessions, and we would like to take this opportunity to share the ASEAN Green Initiative's call for nomination. The AGI is open to all ASEAN member states, so you may scan the QR codes for more information on the AGI call for nominations. Again, thank you and see you in the next session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Again, to our participants online, we will share the presentations to your respective emails, and unfortunately, we will not issue e-certificates for this webinar series. Thank you.